back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new single from Greta Van Fleet, Age of a Machine. This one, I'm pretty speechless as far as this one goes because it's such an amazing tune. Like, the musicianship is just incredible in this song, and just genius writing all around. Definitely my new favorite from these guys. In my opinion, it blows all their other songs. Their other songs are amazing still, but this just blows them out of the water. So I'm really excited to see what's on the new album as well, because it's just, when you think they couldn't get better, it gets way better. So I didn't expect this at all. So amazing new single. Now we're teaching it. I'll stop rambling. Let's get right into it. So you're in standard tuning for this one, except it's drop D. So everything is standard except your E string is a D. So a whole step down. I know a lot of you guys are going to have tone questions. So going into the amp, it's JVM 210 with a 1936 cab, Marshall, bass. Crank it up all the way. That's what I've done, and I know that's what Jake does as well. He cranks his bass on his amp, and then the middle and the treble are at about 2 o'clock. So if you look at a clock, about one or two-ish. I kind of got them about there, and then I've got it on the green overdrive, which is like a light overdrive on other amps. So it's just not a lot of distortion. That's my amp settings. My guitar, using the bridge pickup the whole time. Volume knob, I have it at full, and my tone knob, I have it at about 7, just to take some of that sharp edge off the bridge pickup. And then I know everybody is always asking if I'm using pedals. Most of the time I'm not. In this case I am. No, this is not sponsored, but Dunlop, if you guys want to sponsor me, I'm all for it because I love their products. This is the Dunlop MXR reverb pedal. I saw this one a couple of years ago, I think on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that. It's such a cool pedal. Just the reverb and the kind of space type sound effects you can get from it. And I was like, yeah, I want to get it. So I ended up getting one, and it's awesome. Would definitely recommend it, and that's what I'm using for this tune. So the Dunlop MXR reverb pedal, and it's on the room setting, room reverb. So there's 6 different settings that you can choose from. And then I've got the mix set at 2 o'clock, and the decay is set at about 10-ish. So there's that, and that gives you so that's with it, and then without. So it really adds that vibe to it. So let's get right into it. The riff itself, this riff isn't too bad. I'm hybrid picking. I'm pretty sure Jake is finger picking, but there's no way to be sure because he hasn't played it live before. And I prefer a hybrid pick because you're gonna need the pick anyways. So here you're just in a standard D minor chord position. So 2nd fret G string, 3rd fret B string, 1st fret E string. What you're gonna do is play open G, hammer on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then play open D, and then 1st fret E string, and then after 1st fret E string, open D, and then 3rd fret B string. So, and then you go play the open D one more time. So that was 2 times through. So it goes through 3 times, and then the 4th time through, it goes. So this is a 1st fret E string, pull off, 3rd fret B string, and then you bar the E string and A string and slide up to the 5th fret. So I'll play 1 cycle through, which is 4 repetitions. So that's 1 repetition through the main riff. Now that goes through, I believe, 6 times, and then the drums come in. So you're just gonna do that. My bad. And then I forgot to mention, going back into the riff after what I do is I play the open G before the downbeat, which is the first beat of the bar, or the measure if you want to call it. So I play open G, and then I hammer on to 2nd fret of the G string to go back into the riff on the downbeat. And when I do that, I hammer on and I play the top 3 strings to get that bass note. So that comes a little bit further in. So let me play this slowly for you guys so you kind of know what I'm talking about. So right there, it kind of leads back into it. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So the timing in that respect is going to be a little bit tricky for you guys, but with some practice, it should be no problem. Like once you get the hang of it, the muscle memory kicks in, and it shouldn't be an issue. So after 6 times, the drums come in, and then it goes through 1 more time, same way, and then on the 8th time, so 2nd round when the drums are in, it goes through the first, so that part is the same, but it doesn't go, it goes, so open E, hammer on to 1st, and then pull off to open E, 3rd fret B string, 2nd fret G string, slide to 5th fret, barring the E and A again, and that's twice this time. So I'll play the 2 rounds when the drums are in. So 1st and then 2nd. That's why it goes, because it goes into the actual verse now, where you're playing the chords. So we got there. Now you're going to play a D minor bar chord. So you bar 5th fret from the A string down, and then 7th fret D string, 7th G, 6th B. So there's your minor chord, and then I'm not playing the E string in this case, and you guys will see why in a sec. So you're playing the bottom part of this chord, so you end with that F, and then the C power chord. So you slide down 2 frets and bar the 3rd from the A string down, and then 5th fret D string, G, and B, and you play everything this time except for the top B string. So you're getting that G in there. So, and then you go back to that D minor chord position, but now you're playing the bottom strings. So what you're basically doing is you're getting a melody out of the chords that you're playing. So you're taking the highest note in the chord, and for the first one, leaving it out to get this progression. So it sounds, you hear it? Whereas if you just went, it just sounds like, so if you leave the E string out on the first one, it creates that progression when you're really not moving around, it's just adding an extra note to the chord. So I thought that was pretty cool in that respect. So you go back to that C chord again. And then, so you hold that, 3rd fret B string, 5th fret G, and then 6th on the B to 5th, 3rd to 5th on the G. So we're there. Now this is going to be a little funky sounding to some of you. It does sound like a G, but he does have the A and D on top of that. So it's kind of a little bit of clashing happening between notes, but it fits well with the song. So this is 5th fret E and A. So I just bar those with my 1st finger, and then I take my 3rd and 4th finger, 7th fret D and G. So we're here, space, and then muted downstroke, and then on the upstroke I kind of do like a muted slide down the neck. So kind of that, and with the reverb it sounds really, really nice. And then you go 3rd fret A string, 5th fret A string, 3rd fret D, back to 5th on the A, and then gap, and then back to that chord again. So and then mute down. So same thing again. And then that same riff again. And then now you're just barring the 3rd fret E and A. And then you slide up 2 frets, play it again. And then it goes back into. Now this time, instead of, you're just going to hold that position, and you're going to play the G string and the D string. So that's going to be on the 5th fret. So as long as you hold that chord position, your notes should be there, you just have to play the string. And then same thing, 6th on the B, 5th, 3rd, and then 5th on the G, and then gap, and then same chord. Next part, so we went through that chord section twice. Now going into this next part, this one's going to be a little bit of a stretch for some of you. Yes, you're going to have to use your pinky. For those of you guitar players who don't like to use your pinky. It's okay, it's not something fast, so it shouldn't be too bad. 5th fret A string with your pinky, 3rd fret D with your 2nd finger, and then 2nd fret G with your 1st finger. So you're making this D minor chord. You just play it each string down. So, and then here, next chord, 2nd fret D string, open G, open B. Then an F chord, so 3rd fret D string, 2nd fret G, 1st fret B, and then slide up to 7th on the D string, and then 5th on the G, and then 7th on the G, and then 5th on the G, 3rd on the G, and then that C chord again, that same bar chord that you were doing. So I'll go up this chord progression slowly here. So 1, 2. So you hold that chord for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3. And then here I'm just playing the E string, so hold that chord, and then I pull my pinky off, and I play the B string, and then I hammer on, up to you. So kind of freestyle, I guess is a good term to put it in that sense. Because you can kind of play around with that. You can play around with different patterns within that chord, so it doesn't have to be exactly what I did, and what I did isn't necessarily exactly what Jake did either, because it's hard to hear every little detail, right? So I got the ballpark, the chord, and he kind of freestyle, and he probably won't play it the same live either, just because, you know, playing the same thing over and over again might get boring, so he'll probably change up the patterns a little bit. So yeah. So now here. So this part is a little bit easier. Coming down is easier than going up in that chord progression. So D minor chord position, just hold it. So 2nd fret G, 3rd fret B, 1st fret E. So then we play G string, B, E, open G now. And then your 2nd finger goes to 3rd fret D string, 2nd fret D, open D, and then 3rd fret A string. And then you slide barred E and A to 5th fret. So here you go 5th fret D string, 3rd fret A, 5th fret A, 3rd D, and then 5th A. So the signature Jake riff right there. Something along those lines. I love it. So the first time, so after I do a slide, you don't have to. That was more of a feel thing for me, because you go right back into this. So if you're struggling to get your fingers stretched for that, do not do the slide, because it's just going to throw you out of whack. It took me a couple times to get that as well. But if you're confident, go for it. If you want a challenge, absolutely. 5th, so then you go back into it again. Same thing, exactly the same thing. And then coming down, same thing again. Except this time, instead of going to the G, you're going to go to a B flat major chord. So 1st fret A string, 3rd fret D, 3rd fret G, 3rd fret B. And you're just going to hold that. So and then it goes back. This time, before you go, it goes through 4 full times of the riff. So exactly the same as you played in the beginning, except you go through 3 times normally, and 4th, on the 4th, it goes like that. Exactly the way I just played it as well. I kind of did like a demo of it. And then it goes back. I played that wrong. That was the 2nd time. So exactly the same time as the first, or exactly the same as the first time, and then it goes right back into. Same deal here as well, except when you go to the B flat major chord, it doesn't go back to, because it's going into the chorus now, which is phenomenal. Love the chorus in this tune. It's just, the voices come in and it's so grand. Love it. So B flat major chord, and what I'm doing is I take my first finger off the B flat, so you don't hear it because the other ones are still ringing, and I'm doing a similar thing to what I did in that C chord, except I'm doing it with the B flat chord now. So open E, first fret E, and then I pull off, and then I kind of freestyle a little bit in that chord position, keeping it there, but your first finger is able to move up here because the rest of the chord can be held by your other three fingers. So, and then, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So it gets held for 4 beats, and then 4 beats of a little bit of freestyle, and then after 4 beats of the freestyling, goes to an A minor chord. So simple A minor. Make sure you're not playing the E string, because that's going to sound way off because it's a D and that doesn't belong in an A minor chord. So otherwise it'll sound, kind of gives it like a diminished type sound. It clashes. So make sure you're muting that D string either with your thumb over the top or with your palm here when you strum it. Or just strum, make sure you're hitting that A string first and not your D. And then it goes into the chorus. Now, the chorus and the guitar solo and the outro I'm going to save for my Patreon lesson, because how much? We're at 24 minutes now. So yeah, I'm gonna do the rest on Patreon, just so that it's fair, because those guys are subscribing for full lessons, and recently AC/DC stuff has been like, okay, you get the solo and that's it, because it's pretty self-explanatory. So for those of you who have liked what you've seen and you want to learn the full song, including the guitar solo, the full thing is going to be on my Patreon page. I'll leave it linked down below, and it's only $1 a month, and every subscriber helps the channel, and I'm trying to look into getting some better gear and potentially down the road a nicer camera, because right now I'm just using my phone, right? So a camera where I could properly get a microphone to plug into it, and just up the quality. So if you guys subscribe to the Patreon, it really helps me out, and in return I help you out, and you get in-depth lessons, really in detail, and nothing changes from this. So full song will be on Patreon. For those of you sticking on YouTube, thank you for coming. I really appreciate the support, and check out my Instagram as well. It'll be linked down below, and if you're sticking around here, till next time, keep on rocking, guys.